Welcome back to the CCPA Playbook podcast. I'm Craig Dalton, and today we've got a very special guest joining us, Tina Champagne from Save Crystal River. Tina's here to tell us all about the incredible work her team is doing to restore and protect the beautiful waterways of Crystal River, some exciting upcoming fundraisers, and how this treasured natural resource is well on its way to becoming crystal clear once again. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Tina, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
So not only are you, I think what's awesome about our conversation today is you're with Save Crystal River, but you're also a realtor. And so that's obviously important to the property appraiser's office. We spent a lot of time establishing a good relationship with our realtors. But today, specifically, we're going to talk about Save Crystal River. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and then your background with Save Crystal River?
Okay, sure. So moved to Citrus County about 8 years ago. Been a realtor for about 10 or 11, and originally from New Hampshire.
Okay.
So
got tired of the cold?
Yeah, I got tired of the cold, and my husband had a job change, which necessitated the move. Which, looking back, I don't regret it. I don't miss the snow. I miss the family up there, but not the snow.
Yeah.
So now we're down here, and we moved to Citrus County. And when I first moved here, my neighbor approached me and said, "You need to check into Save Crystal River." And I didn't know what that was. And I went a couple of years just kind of watching what was going on in my backyard because I live on the water and seeing some positive changes back there. And I said, yeah, this is something I can really get behind. Like, I do love, the environment. I want to help do whatever I can to protect it. So after a couple of years of watching what they were doing, I decided to get on board. And it's an all volunteer nonprofit organization. So yeah, everyone that's on there is either retired or working another job and just trying to fit in as many hours as they can to help keep this project going.
Right.
So
why, and I'm just curious because I'm going to give you a little bit of history on me. Why did you pick Crystal River to move to from New Hampshire?
Well, actually, we moved to Marion County first.
Okay.
So we lived there for many years, about 15.
I gotcha.
So then from there, went to South Florida. Didn't like that.
No.
But found out we liked to be on the water. And Marion County, couldn't go back there because it really wasn't water except for Lake Weir.
Right.
So we ended up in Crystal River. Yeah.
So fun story is I'm also not from Citrus County. I'm actually from Lake County. So Mount Dora, Tavares, Eustis, Leesburg. But I was coming over to Citrus County doing triathlons in Crystal River. So it was the water that brought me. Now I grew up, if I grew up in a county called Lake County, I grew up on the water because that's what everybody is over there. So I grew up surfing in New Smyrna. I grew up water skiing. But then my passion for just swimming and all things got me into triathlons. And then, I was doing the triathlons in Citrus County over in Crystal River.
So you were running up and down Fort Island Trail?
Yes, I was. And cycling. And
Wow.
cycling, yeah. So I figured if I can't see somebody coming behind me, I wouldn't know it. But at the time, it was super safe. I probably wouldn't do it now. I think I'm older, wiser. I probably would not do that. I like closed courses better than the Fort Island, especially some of the triathlons that they would do, like opening of scallop season. That wasn't fun.
Oh, gosh.
But
You're
so
busy.
the water brought you to Citrus County.
Correct.
The water brought me to Citrus County. Save Crystal River has been around since 2012, correct?
Yes, that's when it was founded.
Right.
They started getting money from the state. They went to the state legislator and asked for funding. And in 2015 was the first year that they received, I think it was like $1.6 million to do a pilot project. And it was successful. And so we kept getting funding year after year after year. And it was 2023 was the original date that we set to restore the first 93 acres of Kings Bay.
Of how many acres? How many acres are you responsible for total?
Well, right now, Kings Bay is over 600 acres.
Right.
So our first mission or goal was to restore 93 acres.
Okay.
We completed that on the 100th birthday of Crystal River.
So that was last year?
Yeah, 2023.
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago, July 2nd, I think it was. So we had a big celebration and we were ecstatic. And we're still riding that high of, okay, we've accomplished something. We're doing great things. Let's keep the momentum going. So we permitted for an additional 85 acres, which we received the approval for those permits and are currently working on phase, I believe it's phase 5 now. And we're trying to do another 85 acres.
So when you do a phase, what does that encompass from start to finish?
Start to finish, well, they go in. The problem with Crystal River, why we're trying to save Crystal River, is that there was, back in probably the 90s, 80s, there was an invasive plant called the hydrilla.
Yep.
And hydrilla blanketed the top of the water, made it pretty impossible for boaters to get around the waterway. So they started killing off the hydrilla plant. And then in 93, the no-name storm came in and brought a huge saltwater plume. And that killed off whatever human couldn't take care of on their own.
Yeah.
Because it's a freshwater plant. So once all that salt water came in, it killed the hydrilla, and it eventually sunk to the bottom of the river and started choking out the native eelgrass. So once the eelgrass was gone, that's when Crystal River basically died. There was nothing in Crystal River.
So is the second effect of that too, so that the hydrilla goes to the bottom, is that also what clogs up the springs as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, the hydrilla definitely clogs the springs. We actually just went and pumped out Hunter Springs, and Hunter Springs is part of a first magnitude system. So Crystal River, the springs that we have here, they're, Hunter Springs, King Spring, Three Sisters Springs, they're all part of a first magnitude system. Mm-hmm. So there's over 65 million gallons of water that are pumped out of the aquifer into Crystal River every day. So over the years, the beach at Hunter Springs has been slowly eroding into the spring. So there's a lot of sand that need to be pumped out. And there was a lot of limbia that was down there from over the years just sinking into the spring. So they pumped it out. And I think I heard it was over 2 million pounds of stuff that was removed from the spring.
Trash.
Yeah. All that sand, hydrilla, detrital material, all of that. Nothing that's good for the spring, of course.
So you name the big springs, but how many? I think it's referred to as wells, correct? Or what is the not just this? How many springs that are in Crystal River? Maybe I'm not saying that right.
Well, and we have, if you look at our website, there's different stats that we have on there, and I think at this point we've opened up over 850 springs. It might be closer to 1,000 now, because this was a couple of years ago. I think that there are the people that are actually doing the work in the water. They keep track of where they see new water pumping up, when they suck the muck off the bottom.
I think that's what's amazing to me. I think when I was reviewing your website, which is what again? What's the website?
SaveCrystalRiver.com.
SaveCrystalRiver.com. We should say that like 100 times throughout this, but I think that was what was amazing. Like everybody just hears of the 3 main ones, or 4 main ones, but there's actually so many different springs that are feeding our entire system.
Yeah, and they're all different sizes. Some are just the size of your pinky. There's just a little bit, but every bit of fresh water that we can get back into Crystal River is better for the ecosystem. Because you ask any boater that lives on the water, they can say that, or they can attest to the fact that they now have barnacles on their pilings, or have to keep their boats out of the water for fear of barnacles growing on the underside. Sure. So it's definitely getting more brackish. It's not as fresh water as it was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, one of the big things is not just sucking the muck out, but opening up those springs will help return the ecosystem.
I know you and I talked a little while ago about, so you just mentioned the no-name storm, but we've also had 4 hurricanes come in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
What has that done to your efforts with cleaning up the springs?
So go back to Idalia was in 2023.
Yep.
That one hit in 2023.
Yep.
And that was definitely a setback. So immediately after that, what happens is with the salt water coming in, the eelgrass that we're planting, they're salt tolerant, but they're not really a saltwater plant. So they can handle a certain amount of salt in the water. That salt that came in did kill off the blades or the leaves of the eelgrass plant. So in the fall, the eelgrass plant will shed nearly half of its leaves. So the blades will just naturally fall off, just like they do on an oak tree. So as you know, the hurricane happens late summer going into fall. So when that salt water came in, it took a lot of the eelgrass blades off the plant. And then going through the fall, nothing's coming back. It's not growing back. It's dormant. And it's putting its efforts into growing its root system or rhizomes. So you don't normally see eelgrass plants growing in the wintertime. The manatees usually come in and mow them down anyway.
Right, yeah.
Whatever's left. But that year, we didn't have really eelgrass for the manatees. And we kept an eye on the project, kept looking at the different areas that we had planted the eelgrass. And 10 months out from the hurricane, we did see that a lot of the eelgrass plants were producing new leaves. So the roots were good. And that's the main thing. As long as those are safe and don't die.
Because the root system's not being disturbed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we just need to give, the plant time to grow back. So it was coming back. And then 4 months later, after we started seeing growth all over Crystal River and the water quality improving, we got hit with Helene. So it wasn't back to its full strength when Helene came. So it gave it another blowback.
Yeah.
And honestly, when we planted that 93 acres of eelgrass, it spread to over 300 acres. It was growing in areas that we never even touched. Like it was just spreading down the river and through all the canals. So it's once it gets going, it'll go everywhere. The problem is it's got to be planted in a good substrate. It can't be planted in muck because it's like a toupee. It'll just kind of float off once.
I'm just imagining swimmers just plucking, eelgrass in the ground. Is that how that works? Is that literally how it works?
Yeah, the divers, they go down and they suck the muck. That's the first step, is to get the muck off.
Like a vacuum cleaner.
Exactly.
Shot back.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
And then then somebody behind them just plants it.
Yep. They have little peat pods, and the eelgrass plant is in that. And so they just dig a little hole into the sand and plant the eelgrass. They have to put a cage over it though, because as you can imagine, a manatee swimming by might either grab the eelgrass and eat it, or just, kicking its back tail might cause enough wave action to just, to make that plant float up. So we protect it for a year. They're in cages, and you can see those in Hunter Springs. There's cages there that we just did a planting in May with our 5th graders. They get to go down to Hunter Springs Beach every year and plant eelgrass.
On that note, is it? I think I might be off on this, but Crystal River Primary School, they actually grow it in their school and then bring it out.
They do, yeah. At the beginning of the year, we run. It's called Eco Week.
Yep.
So we go in and
That's
do
awesome.
lessons with them and set up an aquarium in their classroom. So they are given the sand, the water, and the eelgrass plants. And throughout the year, they've got to keep them alive, and just watch, but basically just watch them grow.
Right. You don't have to feed it.
No. Just got to give it sunlight. It needs sunlight. So a couple of classrooms realized that they couldn't stick it in the back corner away from the windows because it didn't do as well.
Is Crystal River Primary the only school that does that, or is Homosassa involved in that at all? Do you know?
No, it's just Crystal River Primary.
Crystal River Primary.
Yep. We do have like the lessons plans that we provide for the teachers. That curriculum is available on our website. So any school anywhere could take that curriculum and expand on it, of course, if they want to. But we work closely with the Crystal River Primary School. And we always make sure that at the end of the year, those 5th graders, because the whole school plants the eelgrass, but it's the 5th graders that get to bring it to Hunter Springs.
Well, I think it's awesome because they get to see the start to finish.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that's what's important to you and the volunteers for Save Crystal River and your board. Obviously, that goes back to 2012. You've had some huge, obviously, supporters in Tallahassee, whether that be, Senator Angolia, whether it be our current ag commissioner, Wilt Simpson, when he was our senator. He is a rock star. We love Wilt. And then obviously with the new representative, JJ Grow, how does that help you? You have boots on the ground, but to have the support from Tallahassee, what does that mean to you all?
Oh, it's huge, because this is nothing that we could do on our own. Like it was started as a, nonprofit, all volunteer, and it still is that way. And we know that it's not the taxpayers of Citrus County that can support this project. The residents are willing to do what they can, but there's the
only
limit to that.
Much.
There's only so much.
It's only so much, because I believe you mentioned before we started, this conversation, that you actually have scientists that are helping you, right? So can you kind of expand on that, because that's important. I know we have, Academy of Environmental Science. We have a lot of people who get into, zoology or the study of the ecosystem. But why are those scientists important to what Save Crystal River is doing?
Oh, well, as you can imagine, the support that we get from the state government, from the legislators. I think to date we're about $50 million for the project. So it's an expensive project. So
since 2012?
Yes.
Okay.
Since 2012. And, we want to make sure that that's money well spent.
Yeah.
So the scientists are huge. Like they definitely have laid out the process that is a proven process now. And that's actually being replicated all over the state. Homosassa River is doing it.
Yeah.
There's other parts of Florida that's doing it. So I call them our scientists, but our contractor, Sea and Shoreline, has their scientists. And they actually were at the UN presenting what they're doing in Crystal River, Florida. And
wow, so UN as in United Nations.
Yes.
Wow, that's a big deal. That's always fun for me too, because I like here at the Citrus County Property Purchase Office, we like to do things different. Like this podcast. And so a lot of government in Florida, around the country, watch this and see what we're doing. And it only helps our industry. So what you're doing is just an example of what could be done for the ecosystem of Crystal River. But everywhere. Everywhere, which is what that's important, because I think going back to the hurricanes, what is so devastating about a hurricane? Everybody just kind of sees the structures that are destroyed, but it's such a long-term effect, right? So I know that you're in real estate, so this is important to understand, not for you, but for our listeners. So a hurricane hits, we lose the plantation just because of the commercial businesses. We lose houses, we lose businesses for a period of time. Now, as talking to you, Tina, we're seeing that it loses water clarity, where there's water damage going on. And so that is all a big effect on basically our economy. So even something that happened 2 years ago, and I know we had hurricanes last year, but it's still an effect on everything that we're doing. And I know, so as a realtor, it's vital that we get this waterway back to where it needs to be, because we need it to get back to what it was 50 years ago. But absolutely, that is also what's going to bring buyers into the area, because 100%. I'm a water person, but I wouldn't want to go buy a house on the water where it's just a dirty canal. Like, I wouldn't do it. I'm just not going to spend my money there when I can just go put in at Fort Island and just go out to the Gulf. But for you who moved here from Marion County, it's important to get those waterways back to where it needs to be, not only just for the ecosystem, not only for the tourists. Like, you look at the loss of the plantation because of the hurricanes, and all that tourism tax dollars they're not here because nobody's staying there.
Yep.
And, but to get the waterways is so important. And it's awesome that we have a group from 2012 that's been there. How, so my mind is running in a different direction, but how can somebody who wants to get involved with Save Crystal River get involved?
Many different ways. Of course, you can go to savecrystalriver.com and donate. We do get, as I said, a lot of money from the state, but there are items that the state does not pay for. So as far as like our administrative assistant, I say we're a nonprofit, all volunteer, but we do have an administrative assistant that we have to pay for that kind of keeps everything.
Well, I mean, it's running. A lot. You said $50 million, right? You can't just leave that to a board everybody's got businesses and jobs and families. And
exactly.
So you're going to need somebody to keep all that together. So, I mean, I can understand that.
Yeah. And then the education component, that's not funded by the state. So everything that we do with Crystal River Primary or the outreach that we do, a lot of that, it's all up to us to pay for those things. Certain permits, we don't get them paid for by the state. So there's definitely costs that we need to cover. And so we are still fundraising. And we've had like huge support from the community. Every time we have a fundraiser, everyone comes out and supports us. So we're very, very thankful for our community.
When is your next fundraiser? Do you have one planned?
We are thinking it might be in the fall coming up. Yeah.
When it's cooler.
Yeah, when it's a little bit cooler. Exactly. So, it's been 2 years since we've had a big fundraiser. And actually our last fundraiser was at the plantation. Our last two were
I believe
there.
I was there. I actually think I was there actually.
It was a great time and great location. And we're sad that there's, nothing at the plantation yet. But,
there's news out there. There's rumor. I don't think it's a rumor anymore, right? So Dr. Desai buys it. Yeah. And he's in, I guess, talks with Margarita Bill. I always want to say Margarita Grill, but that's the restaurant in Homosassa, Margaritaville. So that'll be huge.
Yeah, it needs to open back up as a destination, hotel. Sure. Like it's got to, whatever it is, it's got to.
Now, for somebody like me, I'm just going back to the volunteer thing. I'm a scuba diver. I dive a lot. I used to dive a lot. I haven't dove in a while. If anybody wants to come and be a part of that process, are they allowed? Or how does all that work?
Unfortunately, not, because of course, Sea and Shoreline, who's our contractor, they've got divers that are certified. They pay the insurance, so there is a liability there. Sure. So you can't just jump in the water and plant eelgrass.
Sounds like fun. I would love to do that.
With that being said, we did just get from FWFF, which is Fish and Wildlife Foundation.
That was a mouthful. Yeah, I couldn't have got that, especially on a Monday morning.
So we did get a grant from them for $20,000. So the specialty license plates that people buy, I forget which 4 it was, but the money that is raised from the sale of those license plates, they do give grants out. So we applied for a grant.
Shout out to Janice Warren in the tax collector's office for selling those for you.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And that goes into a pot of money, and they give out grants. So we applied for the grant, and we were just awarded the $20,000. So what we do with the 5th graders, we want to do with adults. So we want to give residents, visitors, whoever, an opportunity to come and help us plant eelgrass. We'll have an adult planting day.
You're going to have to let us know when that is, because I would love to do that.
Yes, and that's still fun. Like in the early stages of figuring out exactly what's the perfect time and where we'll do it. But I'm thinking it'll probably be Hunter Springs. Got to get into shallow water.
Yeah, I know that we talked about the long game. Like we talk about, meaning you started this in 2012. You started with a certain amount of acreage. Save Crystal River is going to continue to go to Tallahassee for funding.
Yes.
And I know JJ Grow, whoever fills the Senate seat, will continue to support it. Blaise Ingloya, who's the outgoing senator, I think he's being sworn in today as a CFO, but he will continue to support, and obviously Governor DeSantis, but obviously Wilt Simpson, huge supporter for y'all. I think you're going to continue to see that. How many acres do y'all manage, or are you trying to clean up now? What's the total?
So the next phase, so we've done about 107 to date. And so our original plan was 93 acres, and then we permitted an additional 85. And so that, of that, there's still a lot of Kings Bay, which is 600 acres that we're not going to get to. But as I said before, once the grass takes root and starts growing, as long as it's on good substrate, it'll go forever. Like this stuff is very
I think Citrus County as a whole would love for a knock on wood, a non-hurricane season.
Yes.
Like give us a break, right? Please. We've had 4 hurricanes, we've had 2 or 3 tornadoes. Yes. And I know these recent thunderstorms haven't been kind. But yeah, we all could use it. I know Kings Bay could use that, for sure. When you look at as Citrus County as a whole, 33% ish can't be built on. It's conservation land. So that's what's awesome about Citrus County.
I agree.
We love the waterways. We love, the trail that's right outside here in Inverness, the state forest, which is in the middle of our county. And so this is just a nature lover's dream.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons I moved here in 2009. Same thing for you. And so it's very important. But what else can we share with our viewers, our listeners about Save Crystal River?
Well, and I think I want to also make sure that people understand, I talked about how we were set back over the last few years with the hurricanes, but we feel like our project is resilient, like the residents of Crystal River are resilient, because we do see the eelgrass coming back. And before we got on air, we were talking about a lot of people are looking down into the water, and it still looks pretty murky. And they can't see the eelgrass. And just 3 years ago, before the back-to-back hurricanes, the water was crystal clear, and you saw eelgrass all throughout Kings Bay. and it was coming back. Like it was starting to look like it did 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So, people are concerned that, that the project is dead, but it's not dead. It's just, it's going to take a little bit of time to come back. Like it's not something that's going to happen overnight.
Does the murkiness happen with even a thunderstorm, or is it just hurricanes that kind of turn the waters up? I can tell you for those that go out scalloping, we know from living in Citrus County, like if there's a storm, I wouldn't go scalloping for 2 or 3 days just because I know it's churned up. So
Right.
does that have an effect on all that as well?
Exactly. Yeah. And the eelgrass plants, they'll, hold the sediment down. So if there's no eelgrass in a certain area and, a storm comes through or a hurricane, it's going to make the water more, turbulent or less clear.
And so what you're doing and what Save Crystal River is doing is such an amazing thing. Obviously, you have the support of Wilt, and you have JJ Grow and Blaze and whoever fills that next seat. But I know I'm a fan because I love the water, and I know how important that is. Not just because of tourism, but because of it's the water. Like that's something we're never going to take away. You can't take that away, but you can muddy the waters, right, per se, and that it's a bigger effect, whether that be somebody buying from up north want to be on the water. Do they go over there? I don't know. And we need Crystal River to stay resilient, and to stay with what they're doing. I will definitely encourage all of our viewers or listeners, when you have your fundraiser, hopefully in the fall, whenever you release those dates, to attend that event. I was there a couple of years ago. The more I think about it, I know I was there with Mike Wood, is his name. He owns Marco's Pizza in Crystal River, and he had a table there because he lives off of a Kings Bay, and so that's important to him. And there's hundreds of those stories, right? And so I want people to visit your website, savecrystalriver.com. They can donate. I think it's awesome that you're in the schools. Our organization is huge supporter of Dr. Hebert and the Citrus County School District and what they're doing. Academy of Environmental Science. We actually have a staff member whose son, who's going to be a freshman, is going there. So the waters are big, right? If I had to think about our 50 staff members, more than half are on the water on the weekends. I mean, it's just what it is.
And one thing too, I wanted to bring up, we've noticed, because we've been like looking at Crystal River for, over a decade now, and noticed that we're losing also our sawgrass islands. So we have historical drone shots or aerial shots of Crystal River from the 40s. And we compared it to where the sawgrass is now. And we've lost over, and this was in 2022, I think, that they did the study. And they said we've lost over 120 acres of sawgrass in Kings Bay and Crystal River. Yeah. And since 2022, we've had those 2 hurricanes, which only sped up the loss of sawgrass islands. Like out behind my house, we've lost an entire island of sawgrass. So it's disappearing rapidly.
What I know, and this is gonna come out of left field, but from my previous occupation as a West Operations Sergeant with the Sheriff's Office, I used to work hand in hand with the City of Crystal River and FWC. How has their big push of getting rid of the derelict vessels helped you all? Has that helped you at all?
Oh, definitely, because
they're sinking to the bottom,
right,
so it's destroying
whatever,
all that, disturbing all that.
Yeah, and whatever's in that boat as far as contaminants, is getting into our water. So, they were very quick on getting the last 2, I think, from the previous hurricanes out of the water.
Yeah, so I know 6 years ago when we first really made a big push on that, his name is Jacob Fisher. He worked with the FWC. He was our Marine unit for the City of Crystal River. They were really big, and they got a lot of vessels out really quick. That's when Ken Frink was the city manager. And so FWC does a pretty good job of that. But I know that you want to talk about ruining an ecosystem, have a derelict vessel with unknown things coming off of it going into our waterways. And that's why it's so impactful. And they would just, shore up to a buoy and just leave it. So that's a big deal. But that's a big, I will tell you on your website, which was also super awesome, is your newsletters that you put out.
Yeah, I was going to say people should go and subscribe to those, because that keeps them informed on what we're doing. And
I can tell you how important newsletters are. So we do all kinds of outreach, community outreach, whether it be social media, whether it be our website, whether it be newspapers, whether it be whatever. We get more traction on our newsletters because people can print it out. They don't have to sit there and look at an email. They only get it once a month. They love it. And I tell you, I enjoyed reading yours. You were at a conference recently, right?
Florida Wildlife Corridor.
Yeah. So that was awesome. And then you have the statistics, because I think reality, I don't care how old you are, they want to know the numbers. Like, what's the truth? Where's the numbers at? I mean, I'm in a numbers game business, so that people want to know the numbers. But when we look at your numbers and what you all are doing since 2012, that's a big deal. So yes, everybody needs to go to savecrystalriver.com, get on the e-newsletter, join up or sign up for that.
Just learn more about what we're doing.
Well, I can tell you, I will have Megan put your brochure link on our e-newsletter that's going to go out on August 1st, so we can get that out, because I think the more people that we get to have eyes and ears on what you all are doing there, I think is important. Anything else? What are we missing? Facebook? You're on Facebook?
Yes, of course. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, all of those.
Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah.
Snapchat, TikTok.
No, not those.
Oh, okay. All right.
If there's any good influencers out there that would like to align with us.
Man, that's a great idea.
Yes, that's what
There's got to be somebody at Crystal River High School that is an influencer that would love to help you. I think we should try that. I'm going to be with a bunch of students tomorrow. Maybe I can bring that up.
Okay.
We have Summer Rise, which is with the Education Foundation in the school district. So it's rising seniors, and we'll be out at CF for the next 2 days. I should go on a search for that for you.
Yeah,
maybe that could be the way I could help you. Since you're not going to let me scuba dive and plant eelgrass, maybe I can find you an influencer.
That would be great. Yeah, because we were talking about this recently, that we need to do more podcasts and have influencers, because that's how people are getting known. It's not necessarily reading the newspaper or picking up the phone book.
Yeah, I can tell you, in my 4.5 years here now, our community outreaches, I mean, when I first took over, we only had 107 people on Facebook. And I know that, listen, I love Trina Murphy and I love the Chronicle, but not everybody reads the Chronicle.
Right.
Not everybody's on Facebook. Not everybody's on Instagram. So I joke about all that stuff, but we have to do so many different things because everybody does it differently.
Yep. Not all get in the news the same way.
Yeah. So Jesse Owens is one of my favorite guys right now. I don't know if you follow the Savannah Bananas. But he talks about finding your yellow tux, meaning you got to find the things that make you unique and make you stand out. Save Crystal River is definitely setting the bar pretty high. You talk about how everybody around Florida is kind of watching you. Your scientists took it to the United Nations. I mean, what does that say, right?
Exactly.
So that's a big deal. But I will tell you, the Citrus County Property Appraiser's Office, whatever we can do to help. If you have a volunteer day, just let us know, because our staff loves to give back. And if it includes the water, I'm sure they would do it. But yeah, let us know when your fundraiser is in the fall. We'd love to participate in that and help you with that. But we will definitely be sharing all your content, all your stuff. And Tina, okay, so let's push this. Tina, you also work for Plantation Realty.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you're selling homes in Crystal River.
I am.
Market good.
I am. It's tough right now. There's a lot of homes that have been flooded. So
sure.
Yeah, I think most of my listings right now are homes that have flooded. Some been fixed up, others not, but at this point.
Okay, well, see, it's a great thing I brought this up then. If you have homeowners in Crystal River that have been flooded, make sure that our office knows about it. And we tell this, and I'm saying this because I want people to know that if there's a damaged home due to a storm or a catastrophic event, there are things that we can do to help them with their values, with their, their assessment, because that's important. The tax rebate. So basically what that is if a home has been damaged and they had to move out for a catastrophic event for more than 30 days, then they can get a refund on their tax bill, meaning they have to pay for it first. They have to pay their tax bill first, prove that they were out of their home for 30 days or more during that tax year, which this would be for 2024. Then we could get them a refund. But it's past the deadline. But we can always look at their values, though, which is important because we're in that value season now. And so if you do have homes that are damaged, they need to make sure we know about it. because if we don't know about it, I can't do anything about it.
Right. True. Good point.
Yeah. See, glad I brought that up.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the plantation will help the sales. Hopefully that all this work that Save Crystal River is doing will help your sales. Very few water properties, right?
Right. I know we keep saying that they're not making any more waterfront property.
No.
So, the values are still there for certain homes, but and I tell this to people a lot that, I see Crystal River, it was, a charming old Florida town, and it's changing. It definitely is, with each older home that's being torn down, there's a stilt home, a big home that's, worth twice as much money as the previous home. So things are changing in Crystal River. Yeah.
So in Lake County, my parents still live over there, and I see the same thing happening in Crystal River as it's happening over there on the water, where they're knocking the older homes down and then building up, or building newer homes. And that is happening quite a bit in Crystal River. So we're seeing that.
Yeah. We want, we're going to lose the older homes, but we don't need to lose the old Florida feel. So.
I agree. But we definitely want them, if a homeowner is able to raise their property, that only helps them, that helps their insurance, that helps the values, for sure, because these homes that are continuing to get flooded. I mean, I feel every time a storm comes, my mind immediately goes to Dixie Shores.
Yeah.
And it's just, that is like one storm after another that keeps affecting them. And I feel bad for them. But, well, Tina, I appreciate you coming to sit with us. SaveCrystalRiver.com.
Yep.
See, I think we've hit our quota of how many times we're supposed to say it. Who's on your board right now? Can we give a shout out to anybody that's volunteering on your board? I know there's probably tons of people.
There's a dozen of them. So Lisa Moore is one of the founding board members, and she's actually the president right now.
Okay.
We've got Steve Lamb. He's the vice president. Marie Biankowski. She's the second vice president. I'm the treasurer. And Larry Shenovar is the secretary. So those are
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I've been on a few boards.
Plus many other board members behind the scenes. But yeah.
It's so important to understand that as a volunteer board, it's such a big deal, because you're doing this because you love it.
Yes.
And you're passionate about it.
Yep.
I'm on the United Way board, the Citrus County Veterans Foundation board, and it's so important because those things are passionate to me. And your passion is Save Crystal River. And we want this to stay the way it is for generations to come.
Right. We just want to keep improving on Crystal River.
Right. And to simplify it or compare it, that's why I love the trail nonprofit that they have, for the Withlacoochee Trail. They want that to stay that way for decades. And that's all we want to do. We want to preserve it, make it better for what happens 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. And the
future generations.
Same thing with Save Crystal River. And it is a beautiful, beautiful place. Dr. Desai's doing some great things with obviously the plantation. He's obviously doing the hotel by waterfront, social. I mean, he's doing some good things. I know Mayor Joe Meek has been absolutely phenomenal with everything he's done in Crystal River. So if there's anything we can do to help you, Tina, just let us know. And we appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Cregg.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Y'all have a great day.